Okay, we're off. Liz, good to see you. There you are sitting
Yeah.
in Wales, I think.
Yes.
What's the weather like in Wales today in
Like
whatever month? March we're in?
March we're in, and it's showery, heavy
Oh,
showers and bright sunshine. So we're
okay.
very fortunate. We're seeing a bit of sun.
That's nice. Oh, we got some sun here now. People don't believe me when I say this, but we only have one measure, a means of heating here, a log fire, uh, um, a stove, and we burn it solidly 5 months of the year.
Whoa.
They don't believe that in Spain. So that's my poor me story. But it is getting warmer and it is sunny today. So poor me story has ended. Liz, maybe to more relevant issues. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I hope that those coming onto the Zoom course will find this interesting. Um, Liz, is there a moment in your life when you came to faith, or are there moments when you came to faith, different times? How would you describe that part of your journey?
Well, I'm from a Catholic family in Ireland, and at that time the Catholic Church was very strong, and so I was brought up a Catholic. But even as a very young child, I remember being out under the stars and feeling a real connection between me and those stars and the sense of God being there. And when I was 10, I made my confirmation, and that was a real choice from my part. I was definitely choosing to walk after Jesus. And then when I was 18, I had a very dramatic experience of the love of God in a church setting in mass one day,
Hmm.
when I just asked. The priest was talking about it like as if it was absolutely real, like you could feel it as another person.
Right.
And I thought, whoa, well, if that's possible, I really want to know about that. And I imagined as I said that I would walk on a path of discovery about that.
Okay.
But in that moment, I had a very deep experience of the love of God, which is something that has held me through my life, because I cannot deny that experience. It was very personal to me. And then I came to England, and I eventually found a group of people who were living out their faith. And that to me, even as a teenager, that was important to me, because
Okay.
I was struggling with how people were living, compared with, say, going to mass and taking communion and then not living like I thought that should be.
Mm.
Um, so I joined eventually into a house church group, who were living in a sense with a sense of community, supporting each other. And there I learned really how to just how to be with people, how to live honorably with people, and um, have fun and
Yeah.
serve and all those good things, really.
Yeah. So
Uh,
that's an important time in your
very,
life,
very
obviously,
key, very key
and
time,
very
really.
very foundational.
Yes,
Um, Jump forward a little bit because I'm so aware, people I talk to, things you read on the internet, there are countless numbers of people who, at one level, could say they had a crisis of faith, and there are people who have a crisis of faith, and I understand why, all the suffering in the world, etc., etc., makes you question everything. But a kind of a crisis of faith with a difference, where it's not so much a crisis of faith does God exist, but I suppose a crisis of faith in terms of my core beliefs and what I'm committed to.
yeah.
And I've read stores and stores of scores and scores rather of stories like that. Uh, Now, what about yourself? Here you are, Catholic background, love of God, clear experiences, house church, learn a lot of stuff. Um, I want to fast forward you in, I don't know when, but into the 90s, because that seems such a critical time for so many people. What kind
Yeah.
of things began to rumble for you?
Yeah. Well, in the 90s, I was very focused on supporting this church structure. Essentially, I worked really hard into it, gave my money into it, my energy into it.
Yeah.
And, I would have defended that,
Okay.
and how we were doing things very strongly. And then one night I was away on a prayer group with a prayer group. I just felt God say to me, you have 10 things on your agenda,
Hmm.
and your top 10 things I'm not even interested in any of them, not any of them. It was that horrific
Yeah.
crumbling down of everything that I was thinking was so important and that I had to give myself to and
Yeah.
work hard and blah, blah,
I mean,
blah.
was that like a shock to you?
Huge. It
Huge
was
shock.
huge because I had absolutely
Yeah.
believed that I was following the will of God and
Yeah.
that I was working hard and doing all the things that needed to be done. Um, and to feel like, whoa, nothing is on his agenda. It's on
Right.
my agenda.
Yeah.
That was huge. And you come away from that and you think, well, and that's another thing that I can't go back on. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's a few times in your life when
Yeah. Fixed points. Yeah.
whatever, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever else is crumbling around
Yeah.
you, there are certain things that kind of hold you in. And that's another thing that held me in. So I came away from that thinking, right, I don't really know quite how, I don't know how to go forward with this. But really feeling like I want to hear that and I want to do something about it. And I probably did many things wrong trying to follow that.
Okay.
Like turning away from thinking, no, this is uh, this. I remember shortly after that being in meetings and stuff and thinking, yeah, we've got to get out from where
Mm-hmm.
we're, break down these walls. We've got to get out. It's something about getting out, 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 and trying to convey that, and not really feeling like
Yeah.
very many people were understanding that.
Yeah.
Um, and I had a particular dream that was very specific for me, which helped me see that I was still trying to save people within that context,
Yeah.
but that actually there were people outside of that context that I
Yeah.
needed to go to.
Yeah.
And so I looked for what that was, I
Yeah.
suppose. And I was thinking about the story, and when you say the story, it sounds like, when you look back on it, it sounds like, oh, you really knew what you were doing, and you went from this thing to this thing. Oh, stuff,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
a
Very much.
fantastic story. Wow. And when I look back on the story myself, I think, bloomin' heck, that really is a bloomin' fantastic story. But
Right.
it wasn't like that
And
living
not
it.
when you're living it out.
No, it's like the
Yeah.
scariest thing. It's like, what am I doing? Am I losing my
Yeah.
way? Am I losing my faith?
Okay. I mean,
All those
just
things.
please, is that a throwaway comment, or is that like you really did question, are you losing your faith?
I really did question,
Okay.
because all you see, when you're born into the Catholic Church, you're born into the true
Mm-hmm.
church of faith. Okay. So you leave that
Yeah.
very definite edge. And then you go into something that at the time was loose and
Yeah.
relational,
Understand.
but eventually becomes this thing. This is that it's as solid as if it was built all the years before
Okay.
the Catholic Church. But but and so now you're outside of all that. You've
Yeah.
stepped outside. You felt, you heard God say, you're free to go. You're free to go and find out what you're supposed to do.
Wow. And what did you do?
I went back into health. I volunteered in a hospital for a little while, and then I really felt that I needed to learn about a subject called lymphedema.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, there was no real care for people with lymphedema in the UK, very little anyway. And I went to Germany to learn about that. And when I was in Germany, I had a dream in Germany. I mean, learning it, we'd spent the holiday money for me to go
Mm-hmm.
to Germany to do that course.
Mm-hmm.
And halfway through the course, I was thinking, I'm never going to get this course. I'm never going. And the whole family have given up all this. And one of my kids was doing her A levels, and I was thinking, and here you are off doing your own thing. So all those things are in your head.
Sure.
Anyway, I had a dream that I had to go and take the people from behind their doors. It was a very strong thing for me, that there were people in their houses
Mm-hmm.
who couldn't get out because of this condition, and that I was going to go and do that. And then when I came back, I didn't get a job in this for about 6 or 8 months. At which point I'm thinking, yeah, definite
Mm-hmm.
wrong turn there, girl.
Yeah.
You think you hear these things. Yeah, right. I'm not sure how you can say you can hear these things. But anyway, I did get a job, and in London in a good specialist centre, and learnt a lot there. And then came to Wales, and I've been working with a team in Wales. The team leader is a very forward-thinking woman, and she's developed
Brilliant.
care for all adults and all children right across Wales. So I've been privileged really to be part of that team and make a difference there.
Just bring it just for a moment back to faith.
Yes.
Um, would you say, I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, and genuine question here. What kind of words would you use? The best time in terms of your faith, the most challenging time? Faith is less relevant than ever, more relevant than ever.
Faith is
Where would
much
you throw
more,
that in?
for me right
Yeah,
now, faith is more relevant than ever. And at the time, it's a hard, it's an unsure, it's an
yeah,
unsure walk. But actually what I've realized is that that is what life is.
mhm,
It is an
yeah,
unsure walk.
yeah,
And actually, all the time I was sure I wasn't really loving people
yeah.
because I had put people in boxes.
Uh-huh.
My surety had put different groups of people in boxes
Yeah,
and was very judgmental of people.
yeah,
Whereas actually, what I feel like life is unsure. My faith is to walk with faith is to walk with a sense of being unsure.
yeah.
Um, Not without a sense of the presence of God, whereas that is sure. If you like, that
Right.
base, that bottom base is sure. And I have proven that again and again in my own
Brilliant.
personal life,
Brilliant.
the faithfulness of God. But the emotional walk of living that
Mhm.
is for me is not a sure place.
Yeah,
It's a tentative place.
yeah. Hey, Liz, thanks for your time. I hope the
Good.
sun stays shining in Wales
Thank you. I
and
hope
that
this is
you have
helpful to
many
somebody.
years ahead to enjoy the journey
Yeah,
that you are on. But really, thanks for what you shared, and I think that's really
good,
will capture something for people. So thank you.
good. Let's hope so. Thank you.